Hi everybody, this is Glenn with MotoApex.com, and it's January 2014 and we are in the throes of winter here, and so it's very hard to do bike reviews. So given that, I thought what I would do is put together a video on some of the thoughts I have about riding on the expressway, which can be kind of intimidating, particularly as a learning rider, but it's something that I work on all the time, and I think even experienced riders can maybe make some comments and share some thoughts that they have about riding on the expressway. But as I think of warmer spring days, I thought I'd put this video together, and what I'm going to cover are concepts around entering the expressway, lane position, lane selection, entrance ramps, passing, and then we'll end with the unexpected. Okay, so what you've just heard and seen is me getting on the expressway, shifting through the gears and revving up the bike as quickly as possible in order to achieve expressway speed on what is a very short ramp. Particularly as I get to the top and begin to merge, this is a ramp that has very little merge space into one of the lanes where traffic is traveling. So we need to be hitting expressway speed as we merge onto the expressway. That's the bottom line. We also need to be monitoring our mirrors and make sure that we've got a gap to enter, but it's going to be harder to hit that gap if we haven't achieved expressway speed. Now let's look at lane position, and this is where you're going to ride within the lane. And if you look at the video in front of you, what you're seeing is a black center within the lane and then two lighter areas on each side of the black strip, and those are of course the tire tracks. And what you want to do is be riding in a tire track, either the left or right depending on your preference. And the reason is that the center is covered with oil and tire dust, and you just don't want to be riding in that debris. So what you want to be doing is hitting either the left or right tire track, because you're not going to be riding in the slicker part of the lane, and you're going to improve your chances of not hitting debris. As to whether you ride in a left or right tire track is a matter of personal preference. I prefer the left generally because that is the position where I believe I'm the most visible and where I can get the best view out of my left-hand mirror in the event that I want to make a lane change to the left, perhaps as I approach an entrance ramp or something like that. So again, left or right is a preference matter, but you don't want to be riding in the center. Regarding lane selection, there's really not an easy rule to follow. I often find myself as comfortable in the extreme left lane as I do in the right lane. However, the thoughts about being in the outer left lane are that you've got to keep up with the fastest traffic, and if it's a high wind day or a day you're not comfortable riding at that speed, you need to be over, like a car would be, in the right lane and not blocking the faster traffic in the left lane. I can see where relatively new riders would be the most comfortable in the extreme right lane. That makes sense because it's slower and it gives you a chance to become accustomed to being on the expressway. However, the thing that you need to be working on and thinking about, and that you'll discover in the right lane, is that there's a lot of activity there because of the entrance ramps and the exit ramps. And so what you're going to find out is that there's a lot of movement among cars when you're in the right lane. There are cars braking to exit, there are cars entering the expressway, and when cars enter the expressway, all of the other cars that are allowing for those vehicles entering the expressway are beginning to adjust. They're either slowing down, speeding up, or changing lanes. So until you become accustomed to this, it's really a good opportunity to practice your patience and gain experience about how cars behave. One immediate thought would be to sweep into the left lane. Well, you've got to plan for that. You can't be doing that erratically. You've got to be looking at your mirrors and making sure that there's room for you in the left lane. But you also have to be thinking about the fact that the cars that are in the right lane now may also want to sweep into the left lane, and you've got to monitor them very closely, and you've got to always be watching them to see what they're going to do, and they may not signal to make that change because they're trying to suddenly change lanes in order to accommodate the cars coming onto the expressway. And you do not want to get caught next to a car that's behaving in that manner. So you've really got to make a judgment call about whether the safest thing to do until you gain experience and are very adept at using your mirrors is to simply hold back and give those cars space to enter the expressway and get accustomed to how the other cars react to that. And you may say, well, I'm an experienced driver in a car. I've passed thousands of entrance ramps, but you haven't done it on a motorcycle. And if you haven't, that's a whole different aspect, because you don't have the protection of the car if you get trapped in the wrong spot. So you've really got to be the one making allowances for the behavior of the cars. So as you gain more experience, you'll get better at planning ahead for entrance ramps. You'll time your lane changes better, but you don't want to be doing that erratically without having the experience as a motorcycle rider for watching how cars behave around entrance ramps and exit ramps. Just like entrance ramps and exit ramps, passing requires some practice and some thought. And when I mean thought, I mean taking your riding experience and adding to it every time and thinking about what is the safest way to pass on the expressway. And of course, you've always got to be monitoring your mirrors, but you also have to be thinking about whether you can clear the truck or car that you intend to pass. So you want to be checking your lane in your mirrors before you enter the left lane to pass. But then as you make that assessment, you want to make sure that as you look around the car or truck you want to pass, that the left lane is clear ahead of that object as well, because you don't want to get stuck next to a car or a truck in the left lane because you're blocked by a car in front of you. When you're stuck next to a car or a truck and you're in the left lane, they're on the right side of you, you're in what's called the death zone, and you don't want to be stuck there. So when you pass, you want to have your speed up, you want to pass aggressively, you want to clear that object, and then either stay in the lane you're in or return back to the right lane. But you want to be sure that as you make that sweep into the left lane and begin to accelerate aggressively, that you're not going to be trapped in the death zone. The last section of this video mentioned the death zone, and I know that can sort of raise the heart rate and blood pressure because it's such a dramatic term. But the way I look at riding on the expressway is I really don't always look at it as being necessarily more dangerous than anything else. It's a different riding environment that requires you to have a plan, to work on your skills, and to ride within your limits. I have to ride on the expressway in order to get to the mountains. I just don't have a choice. And by being very alert, I'm trying to be prepared for that object in my lane or that car that's behaving erratically. I'm thinking about my safety zone. I'm thinking about my buffer. I'm trying to plan my moves in advance. That's not to say that I never make a mistake, because I do. But the more you drive and ride with a plan and with actions that are not erratic, the safer you're going to be. So as you watch the end of this video, you'll see a black pickup truck pass me on the left and get to the exit ramp that they suddenly realize they want to exit against, and you'll see how the cars all brake and how suddenly there's an unplanned situation in front of you. And the key to being as safe as possible in these situations is to leave a buffer zone around you and to have your riding skills current in terms of either your emergency braking, your use of mirrors, whatever the circumstance requires, but always trying to maintain a safety zone and a bailout plan. As always, I want to thank you for coming to MotoApex.com. I hope this video is helpful and that you can add your own riding experience and ideas to this video, and that other experienced riders will do the same. I am not an instructor, and this video is not intended to be riding instruction. It's simply intended to be riding thoughts for you to incorporate into your MSF training and into your own riding experience. As always, take care and ride safe.